Good morning. Welcome to our September edition of the City of Winston-Salem Public Safety Media Briefing. We're going to hear from our three departments today on a variety of subjects. My name is Mel Sadler. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for the City of Winston-Salem and Forsyth County. And we'll have a representative to whom I will introduce you in just a moment who's going to talk about the fact that September is National Preparedness Month. Also, we'll have the fire department represented. They're going to talk about a couple of subjects: line of duty deaths and a smoke alarm campaign. Also, the police department will be presenting several subjects, including traffic enforcement. There'll be a crime tip submitted to you and the opening of District 2. I'd like to introduce Leah Cordell, our emergency management coordinator, who is going to present the emergency management segment of this presentation.
Good morning. We're going to, as Mel said, we're going to talk about September being National Preparedness Month, and we just want to make sure that we get the word that everyone needs to be prepared. And we're going to go over a few ways to make sure that everybody prepares themselves and their families for any type of disaster. Are you ready? There's three things that you need to do to make sure that you and your family are ready. What will you do in the case of an emergency? First, you need to make a plan. What will you do? Make a kit for at least 3 days, if not more preferably. Stay informed. Watch local media and stations and download their apps for your phones. Have a weather radio and stay informed by social media. Your emergency plan. You need to discuss with your family what you're going to do in the case of an emergency. Where are the exits? Make sure that everybody in your family knows how to get out of the house. Make sure that you practice your fire drills several times a year to make sure that your kids hear the alarm when it goes off and see how they respond to the alarms. Another thing you need to do is make sure you have two places to meet. You need to have one place right outside your home, like a mailbox or a tree, something in case, like for emergency in case of a fire. And then another place outside of your neighborhood in case you can't get into your neighborhood. You need to make sure that you have a place to meet. Building your emergency kit. Water is the most important thing that you can have in your emergency kit. It's the most important thing that we need to have to live. Each person needs to have one gallon of water per person per day. And that's the most important thing you can have in your emergency kit. Next thing you need to have is food. Make sure you choose foods that are non-perishable, that have a long shelf life, something that you don't have to cook, something that you don't have to refrigerate. Some examples are beef jerky, Vienna sausage, protein bars, dried fruit, something that is low maintenance, has a high shelf, a long shelf life, and is easy to tote around. Another thing that you need to have is, you can have tools and supplies, mess kits, battery operated radio. Make sure you have extra batteries, flashlights, extra batteries for your flashlights. Make sure you have cash and change and traveler's checks. In case something happens, you're not going to have access to the ATM, so make sure you have cash on hand. Probably a bunch of $1 bills would be a great thing to have, so you don't have to worry about making change in the case the power is out. Make sure you have a manual can opener in case you don't want to be stuck without a can opener and not be able to get get to your food. Fire extinguisher, waterproof matches. Also, you can get a whistle, plastic sheeting, toilet paper, personal hygiene items, disinfectant and bleach. And don't forget your specialty items. Think about who's in your family. If you have babies, make sure that they have diapers and formula and anything specific to your family. Also, remember any adults that have any any prescription medications. Make sure you have enough prescription medications on hand to last a couple of days. And don't forget books and games. You want to be able to keep your children and other adults entertained. And don't forget your pets. Make sure that they have the emergency supply kit: food, water, collars, toys, and different stuff for your animals, because they're an important part of our family. Third, you need to stay informed. Make sure you watch local media. Stay, local media stations for on-the-spot updates. It could save your life. There was a tornado a couple years ago in Clemens, and the residents were watching one of the local news stations, and the weather forecaster told them to get in their basement if they're in that area. So they went in that basement, and there was no deaths in that particular incident. So local media is very important. Another app you could do is readynorthcarolina.org. That's a great app to have on your smartphone. You can it'll show you road hazards, power outages, evacuation routes, different hazards that we have in North Carolina. It'll also show you a list of things that you could have in your emergency plan kit and numbers that you can have for disaster assistance. Your local website is readyforsight.org, which has a lot of great information, local information about preparing for emergencies. Just be prepared and know what's going on in your community. And if you have any further questions, you could, there's a contact number for emergency management. Does anybody have any questions today? Thank you.
Good morning, Robert Owens, Assistant Chief. I'd like to start off the fire department's presentation with recognizing a couple of employees that we have had in the past that died during the month of September while on duty. First, William G. Hobson passed away September the 15th, 1938 while on duty. He spent 26 years with the Winston-Salem Fire Department, 6 of which as fire chief, and again passed away September 15th, 1938. The second death, James Alton Bashirs, firefighter, died September 28th, 1986, with 27 years of service to the Winston-Salem Fire Department. So if you would join me at this time, I'd like to take a moment of silence in recognition of these two people. All right, thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up our senior community educator, Ms. Sabrina Stowe, to talk about the fire department's smoke alarm campaign.
Good morning. We can never say enough about having working smoke alarms in the home, and we're just going to be kicking off our smoke alarm campaign for the fall. You're going to start seeing some banners outside of our fire stations. They're going to be spread around different stations throughout the next year. The signs will read, "Will it work when you need it?" And it's just to serve as a reminder to not only check your smoke alarms, to maintain them, but also to make sure that you're testing them, to make sure that they work, to make sure that you have enough smoke alarms in your home. Again, we'd like to remind you that there should be a working smoke alarm in each bedroom that someone sleeps in. Also, there should be smoke alarms on each level of your home and one smoke alarm outside the immediate sleeping area. So if you will, just make sure that you take the time to check not only your batteries, and we do talk about changing your batteries twice a year. A good reminder for that is to do it when you change the time on your clocks, when you spring forward and fall back. Also take that time to change your batteries and your smoke alarms. And if you do need smoke alarms, please give us a call to see if you qualify to receive free smoke alarms. You can reach us at area code 336-773-7900 or 773-7965. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Chief Roundtree. I want to thank y'all for being here this morning. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the employees of the Winston-Salem Police Department for all your hard work and dedication in serving the citizens of Winston-Salem. Today is the anniversary of the death of Patrolman Al Charles Kennard. Patrolman Al Charles Kennard, end of watch, Saturday, September the 9th, 1961. Cause of death, motorcycle accident. Patrolman Kennard was killed in a motorcycle accident while on patrol. The motorcycle left the roadway and struck the curb and a light pole, killing him instantly. Let's all take a moment of silence as we recognize and honor Patrolman Kennard. Thank you. The list of topics that the police department will discuss today, we'll have our Special Operations Division Traffic Enforcement Unit, Sergeant Rob Peterson will come forward, followed by Captain Chris Louder, who will provide some crime tips related to online sales. And then I'll come back for a recap. Sergeant.
Good morning. My name is Sergeant Robert Peterson, work for the Traffic Enforcement Unit. Today we're just going to talk about a new vehicle that was introduced to the traffic unit a couple months ago. This vehicle was seized through forfeiture through another federal agency, and we've utilized it. It's a multi-use vehicle, and we've done a sort of a short video we're going to show here, and talks about what we use it for and where we use it. The Dodge Challenger was brought to us through a forfeiture through another agency. We kind of told them we were interested in it, and then we did the paperwork through Chief Roundtree in the city, and here it is today, one of the tools for the Traffic Enforcement Unit. It's utilized for traffic enforcement, anything on 311, 421, 52 that runs through the city. If they see a marked unit, they're going to stop what they're doing. But if they don't see us out there, they continue on to do what they normally do, either speeding, careless and reckless, driving too close to people's bumpers. They don't see it, but he sees it. As the word starts spreading, they realize that we're out here in unmarked cars. You better, obey the law.
Okay, so all units ready to copy the following.
This has all the blue lights, red lights with it. You'll hear a special feature which is called the rumbler system. It's a low frequency, but it sounds like thunder when it's getting ready to stop somebody. You'll hear it, it's out of the ordinary. It's not equipped on all the other cars that are out here, but you'll definitely know it once you hear it, and it'll vibrate the inside of the car and might vibrate yours just hearing it, because it's a unique device, and it's new to the police equipment. As you can see, we utilize this vehicle, answer crashes, call response, any kind of traffic situations. We patrol 40, 52, 311, 421, fatality call-outs, whatever use we need the vehicle, it's used in. Also educational purposes on the diversion program. Any questions on this?
Good morning. I'm Captain Chris Louder of the Field Services Bureau. I'm going to talk to you this morning about safety tips for selling items on the internet, and cover those for you, just for a little bit of awareness for everybody. Advertising items for sale using online services such as Craigslist, Oodle, OfferUp, etc. is a great way to reach out to potential buyers. However, there are risks you take when you do so. Your first line of defense is to only use reputable services and follow closely any safety information that's online made available to you about buying and selling property. When you list property, you need to refrain from using identifiable information unless necessary, and be mindful that any information that you share can be used for other purposes other than intended. You need to limit your information to minimize your risk of becoming a victim. All photos should be reviewed for identifiable information. So basically, you just want to show the photo that you're wanting to sell and not any other identifiable information about your home. One idea is to create and utilize disposable email accounts, such as Hotmail, Gmail, if the service that you're using does not provide an email account. That way you're not using your own personal email, and these are email accounts that once you sell the item, you can dispose of and no longer use. Once you communicate with a prospective buyer, it's suggested that you communicate only through email first. That way your other personal information, such as your cell phone, your home address, is not disclosed. Be wary of buyers who are out of the area. If you get a random phone call or a follow-up from the email address that appears to be out of state, and the item that you're particularly selling may be nominal in fee, that could be a clue that the intentions aren't always good if you see, especially someone that's coming from several states away. If you feel anything is suspicious about the correspondence, the information you receive, you should stop the contact, and early on go ahead and set clear expectations about acceptable payments. When you are selling a transportable item, something that you may meet someone to sell, agree to meet only during daylight hours in public places, and it's always recommended that you take someone with you. Turn down requests to meet at your house in unfamiliar places or by yourself. And once you meet, don't hand over or display the item until you have the payment in hand. If a change of payment is recommended, and it's something that you're not comfortable with, you should probably stop the interaction at that point. And if a potential buyer wants time to consider and comes back later, follow the same procedures. Just because you have a little bit of a relationship with this person, don't let your guard down and change any of the protocol that you've set up as far as where to meet and taking someone with you. A little bit more careful when you're talking about non-transportable items and you're having someone that would actually come to your home. Again, the less you show, the less you provide to this person is always the safest route before you make any transaction or any sale. And what's recommended is you set up a two-step process. And what we mean by that is meet the person in an open public area first before you invite them to your home. Make sure that the person is legitimate. Make sure that they're truly interested in the item and it's not some type of other intentions that they have. Once you meet the person and determine who they are and that you want to go through with the process of selling the item, you can always have them follow you. They can always follow you to your house. And before you do this, have the item in an open accessible area such as a garage. If the item can be moved outside, that's always recommended as well. That way you actually don't have the individual entering your home. If you're dealing with more than one person, particularly if you're meeting two people, make sure that you have the two people together and that you don't allow them to separate. That way your attention's not divided where you may be showing the item to one person and you lose track or lose sight of the other person. And as a general rule of thumb, you should, unless at all possible, you should not allow the person entry into your home. One common ploy is for one person to engage you with questions, distract you. Another person may ask to use the restroom. And again, if this is not a legitimate sale and someone has other intentions, this is a way where they're gaining information about your home and gaining information about you where you could potentially become a victim. Again, if you're at home, don't hand over the item until you have cash or form of payment in hand. Don't accept partial payment or anything else other than cash for the payment, such as getting into other items, accepting an item that you're not familiar with from a person as a form of payment. And if the method of payment changes, again, your option is to always decline the deal. If the person wants more time or inquires and has more questions about you or your home, you can always decline and sever ties at that point. Just one thing to keep in mind that as there's future opportunities to buy and sell these items, unfortunately there's a segment of the population that also sees this as an opportunity to commit a crime. The overwhelming majority of these type of transactions are safe and they are beneficial for both parties. However, just from a law enforcement standpoint and a public safety standpoint, we have seen instances where people are using that information to either come back at a later time and create some type, commit some type of crime, or to go ahead and commit the crime when they meet the person, such as meeting in unfamiliar places, meeting in unsafe places, and that's just something for awareness for everybody. Are there any questions at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Have you seen an increase in these types of crimes recently, or has anything changed in recent months versus in the past?
Nothing in particular that we're aware of as far as an increase. However, if one comes across our radar screen, we feel like that it's the time for us to get the word back out and to just make people more aware, because it is somewhat of a precaution when you're dealing with people, particularly people you don't know when they're coming to your home or you're sharing personal information. But not anything recently that we've seen an increase in, although you're seeing more and more, of course, internet sales where you can buy and sell items. So it's becoming a wave of the future, as it is with anything else as we deal with the social media and with the internet. Any other questions at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Just one more. Has the department considered at all an option for people? I know several departments across the country have considered letting people come to their department and sometimes even making an area for people to do transactions. Have you guys considered that?
Not that I'm aware of at this point. It's certainly something that, we can look into across the country, but I'm not aware across what other departments are doing. I'm not aware of anything that we're currently working on at this time, although we felt, like I said, it was important to send this public safety piece out. But very good question. I was not aware of that.
But you guys wouldn't have an issue with people coming to the parking lot and making the transactions out here, would you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, obviously the Public Safety Center is a safe place overall. Again, you'd have to think about time of day, what day of the week it would be. We probably, obviously, wouldn't be in the business of being any type of that transaction, being part of that transaction. If someone were familiar with the building and they chose to use this location during the day, during daylight hours when, most of our staff is here, we wouldn't object to that necessarily. However, we wouldn't want to use that as a rule of thumb and as a commonplace generality to have people come here and make that a regular occurrence. It would just have to be, based on both parties agreeing, and, of course, there's a lot of activity around this building during the day, during the week. Any other questions at this point? Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Chief Roundtree.
Thank you, Captain. I wanted to inform you and inform the public of two events that are coming up. The first event is the groundbreaking for our District 2 police station. It will be on September the 11th at 11 a.m. at 1539 Waltown Street. The program is open to the public, so I invite all of you to attend. The next program is our Medal of Merit presentation. That's a presentation where we will honor two police officers who perform in an exceptional manner, and they also save lives of citizens of this community. That program will also be September the 11th at 4 p.m. here in this room at the Public Safety Center. This program is also open to the public, and we invite everyone to attend. Any questions on anything that I've said or any of the other presenters from the police department? Okay, at this time I'll invite back Mayor Sattler. He has some information on our public safety challenge.
Thank you, Chief Roundtree. One other event that we want to bring to the public's attention is the 9/11 Public Safety Challenge. This is going to take place Saturday, 9/12, from 9 a.m. until 11:30 p.m. at the LJBM Coliseum Annex. This is going to be an opportunity for a competition between the junior ROTC cadets at each high school in Forsyth County. They're going to compete against one another for a large trophy. This is kind of going to build some esprit de corps amongst the cadets. Also, it is an opportunity to invite those cadets to consider careers in public safety. So this will be an opportunity for them to take a look closer at public safety careers and an opportunity to compete against each other in several selected areas. Are there any more questions from anyone in respect to what information has been passed to you this morning? If not, we thank you for attending our September City of Winston-Salem Public Safety Media Briefing.